Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today for our Sage Distribution and Manufacturing presentation. We're going to be talking about elevating inventory strategy. Tara Schinkel is going to be our presenter today. And Tara, I'll let you take it away.
Hey, great. If you want to go ahead and flip the slide for me. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. And so today we're really going to be talking about using Sage distribution and manufacturing operations to really elevate and manage your inventory strategy. And so first thing I wanted to just talk about was SDMO, which is what we call Sage distribution and manufacturing operations. That's its nickname. So really with SDMO, it is a multi-site operational software. So what that means is it allows you to have one or multiple locations all being managed from a single website. SDMO has been native cloud or native API web since day one of its inception, which was actually 2 years ago. But not only does it allow you to manage inventory from multiple locations, it also allows for resource optimizations and real-time monitoring. Now, what SDMO can really do to set itself apart from the crowd is that it is accounting software agnostic. And what I mean by that is whether you want to work with Sage 50, QuickBooks, Sage 100, you do not have to pick an accounting software based on your inventory and manufacturing needs. We can bolt this on for you. Now it is integrated with Sage Intacct. So if you are already a Sage Intacct user, or looking to expand into the multi-company financial features that Sage Intacct has to offer, SDMO will absolutely work with that. But if your main pain points are distribution, manufacturing, and really managing your inventory, SDMO will work with just about any platform that's out there. Go ahead and change the slides. All right, so really what we wanted to talk about today is, out in the marketplace, we've seen a real shift from what we used to call just-in-time inventory. And the model behind just-in-time inventory was you kept just enough inventory on your floor to ensure that you could fulfill orders for, maybe a couple of days or even a week. But the intent was you kept everything lean and mean. And with COVID, we saw a huge shift away from just-in-time inventory to now what we refer to as just-in-case inventory. And with just-in-case inventory, you're really keeping inventory for a longer period of time. You're stocking up for a longer range of time. And so with just-in-case inventory, the intent is having enough inventory on hand so that if there's a distribution problem, a gap in the supply chain, the inability to get a product, you have enough in stock to fulfill demand for a couple of weeks or sometimes even a couple of months. And so really what we'll be focusing on today is how SDMO can help manage this just in case inventory. Jessica, if you can go ahead and, okay, great. So really the criteria for identifying if you're a good fit for just in case, supply chain uncertainty. We saw this quite a bit out in the market, and everybody lived through the chip shortage, right? Couldn't buy a car. If you did, you paid an exorbitant amount of money. Suppliers for different products are in different countries now. And so the supply chain at best during COVID really reared its head for how unstable and uncertain it could be. And as a result of that, small businesses were experiencing firsthand the inability to provide product to their customers because they couldn't get it themselves. Market volatility. So we also saw that if you could get your hands on something, it was also how much were you willing to pay for it. So costs went up and down pretty much with every purchase order that was made, and it was really putting a strain on small businesses to respond to these without having to buy gobs of inventory. Supplier issues, if you have a limited number of suppliers, if one supplier ran out of something, you were kind of stuck until that supplier solved their own problems. And so we saw that trend pretty heavily during COVID, and honestly has kind of continued onwards post-COVID. But also customer expectations, now that we're in this era of e-commerce and instant gratification, customers are expecting their product to arrive quickly and efficiently. And with just in case, it really allows businesses to meet those customer demands without facing any disruptions. And last but not least, economic downturns, with COVID, post-COVID, and even for where we're standing today, the economic recession has led to and can lead to decreased demand and financial strain, but it's also making sure you're carrying the right amount of excess inventory. Too much inventory can be bad. Not enough inventory can also be bad for different reasons. I'll go ahead and move the slide forward. And so, what's the benefits to having just in case inventory? Really, the big ones are, first of all, resilience. As we continue to see the rising of stockouts, disruption in the supply chain, having the appropriate amount of inventory on hand can really allow you to protect yourself really from stockouts, especially if it's a product that can take weeks or even months to get. Um, Preventing stockouts allows you to be competitive and maintain customer satisfaction. So as customers are placing orders, you're able to meet their demands promptly, which, happy customers means a good business and a thriving bottom line. Cost savings. So even though just in case does require that you hold more inventory on the shelf, where the savings comes in is not from the fact that you're holding more inventory, but things like expedited shipping, production stoppages, potential loss of customers due to stock out. So although in the just in case inventory you are expending more money on inventory, where you're hoping the cost savings will come in is from all these other ancillary expenses that we saw a lot in the just-in-time inventory strategy. Flexibility with just in cost, it really allows you to take advantage of better discounts, right? You can ask your suppliers to provide you with a better discount up front because you're ordering more. It also allows you to negotiate better when you're dealing with multiple suppliers because you can actually, get suppliers to do competitive pricing and analysis. And then last but not least, it allows for strategic planning. When you're doing just in case inventory, you really can pan your production, manufacturing, and your distribution a little further out because you're not working under the constraints of inventory and or possibly dealing with shortages or an inventory item or raw material not showing up in time. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so what does that mean in the software world? Well, now we just have new challenges that really your accounting software, your ERP, or your inventory production management software needs to solve. So because of the changes in the inventory management strategy, we're seeing distributors and manufacturers looking for ERP systems that can really help manage their inventory. And when you're talking about inventory management, you really want a system that has the ability to tell you where you're going to be short and make suggestions about what to reorder and when to make more of something for existing orders, a safety stock that you determine, or a lead time. Has the ability, if you manage multiple locations, to manage stock by location and warehouse. We've seen time and time again that different locations have different products, have different demands, and sometimes even different challenges. And your software really needs to be able to adapt and adjust to those challenges for you. And then last but not least, because Stewart Technologies is a huge fan of efficiencies of champions for efficiency, you want your software to be able to generate the purchase orders and work tickets for you based on the demands the system is seeing. We don't want to have this be a two-pronged process where you have to run a report and then manually key the orders or work tickets in. Your ERP system should be able to auto-generate those for you. And with SDMO, you have the ability to do that. Next slide. All right, so really, why is this important? And so, in today's day and age, customers really do not like to wait for product to be delivered. Thanks to Amazon and the standard that comes with Amazon, customers expect things to be delivered, within a few days of placing their order. We're finding now with AI or artificial intelligence, customers are now able to find a variety of competitors to service their product needs. So that loyal customer you have, you may end up losing if you continually run into situations where you can't fulfill your orders as quickly as your competitors. And so many goods and services coming from overseas, it can take months for new products to come in. And as a result, lack of planning your inventory can lead to stockouts for weeks or even months. So it's critical that you're able to have a system that really allows you to manage those various facets of your inventory. And so go ahead, next slide. And so today we're going to actually jump right into a demo of Sage distribution and manufacturing operations. All right, and hopefully you guys can see my screen. Jessica, can you see me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so first thing I just want to point out is we are in Sage distribution and manufacturing operations. As I mentioned, this is a purely online software, so I can access it from anywhere I have an internet browser. When you log into SDMO, first thing I want to highlight is you do have the ability to have multiple dashboards. And so each dashboard can really be tailored to the individual, their jobs, their needs, and their roles. So in this case, I've got a dashboard set up for my distribution side of my company, but I also have one set up for my manufacturing side of my organization. And so this allows me to get key metrics on the business at any time without having to log into multiple places to see it. And so we're going to dive right into the inventory. And first thing you'll see me do is I'm going to head over into inventory items. And today we're going to focus on our two top moving items, which is the 51 series chair, which is a chair that we resell and distribute, and our 61 series chair, which is a chair that we manufacture. And for the company that we're working with, which is Acme Manufacturing, I wanted to highlight that we have multiple locations. So we have a warehouse that's solely for distribution and a warehouse that's solely for manufacturing. And so because these two warehouses are very different in their jobs and responsibilities, they have very different inventory needs. So first thing we'll focus on is the 51 series chair. And I just want to highlight a couple of settings in SDMO. First and foremost, these toggle switches across the top enable different parts of the software. So in this particular case with this particular chair, I purchase it and I sell it. Okay, notice I do not manufacture it. Now, depending on which radio buttons you select, that determines which tabs along the middle of your screen you see here are enabled. So I'm going to actually head over to sites. And what I had to highlight here is you can see that I currently have this item at my Acme distribution warehouse. I currently do replenishment based on reorder points. My preferred process is purchasing. It has a 2-day lead time, and note I have a safety stock of 25. So because this is a high moving chair for me, I never want my inventory to go below what I deem to be a safe number. And so for me, this number is 25. And I also have an economic order quantity. So when I buy these chairs, I want to buy them in series of 10 because that's the best pricing that I'm going to get. And so now I'm going to head over to suppliers. Now, what's great with SDMO is you can define a variety of suppliers for any given item. For this particular chair, I buy it from the Quality Office Furniture Company. Note they do also have the ability to have minimum purchase quantities if I want it. And I can have a lead time that's standardized to this particular vendor. And along with my supplier, I can also build in my supplier pricing. So right within SDMO, I'm able to actually generate my suppliers, my supplier pricing, and manage my sites. And so now we're going to head over to our 61 series chair. And this chair we manufacture in-house. And first thing you'll see is I do have my manufactured radio button on. Now notice I don't buy this product because we make it in-house. So notice that my supplier and my supplier button, radio buttons, pricing buttons are gone. And that's because I don't purchase this item, I make it. So now I'm going to click on sites. And what I wanted to highlight here really speaks to what we talked about multi-site management. So at the distribution warehouse, I do like to stock this chair here because I like to be able to sell it and ship it right from my distribution warehouse. But I want to point out a couple things. One, because I'm not making it at the warehouse, I'm going to have a reorder point as my replenishment. Two, because I don't make it at this warehouse, I'm going to have a higher safety stock because it takes a little bit of time for me to move it from my manufacturing warehouse over to my Acme distribution. And so what this really highlights for you is even though I've got multiple locations, different items get treated differently at different places. So how this item gets treated at Acme Distribution is very different than how it gets treated at the manufacturing plant. And so now you'll see when I come to manufacturing, my replenishment method is actually by MRP, which is because I'm making it. I've got a lead time of 2 days and I keep a safety stock of 5. Now, because this is a manufactured item for this warehouse, I do have an assembly or a bill of material that I can click on. So for those of you coming from QuickBooks, this is similar to QuickBooks or Sage 50's assemblies. Now, where the power of the bill of material comes in is not in the bill of material or even the components, which I can easily see and get to here, but it's actually the multi-level view. So right within the bill of materials, I can easily see my various sub-assemblies and what makes those items up. And so when I'm making decisions about, hey, I need to do an ad hoc review of the 61 series chair, what does it really take to manufacture it? I'm able to quickly and easily see all the various components, and in this case, sub-assemblies, all at the click of a button. And so note, this is a very simple view. In most ERP systems, you would have to run a report in order to see this information. And I have it right here at the click of a button. Okay, so now the other thing I wanted to highlight is when you're working in a multi-site, multi-web facility, a lot of times you're going to want to have more than one view open at the same time. So I can actually just click on this link and paste it right into my window here. And the benefit to this is that while I'm doing my various tasks for the day, I may want to keep this particular item and the site information available on another screen. And so by separating it into its own window, I'm able to continue working in this window without losing my view. And so now I'm going to head back over to items. And now we're going to go through how to do MRP or material and requirements planning. So my goal for today is to really focus on what do I need to buy or make in order to produce more of these chairs. And so to do that, I'm going to head over into my stock area. And under stock, you'll see I have this reordering. And so what I want to go through is what's known as the MRP calculation. And so just to talk through how MRP works, when I have MRP set up, any item where the replenishment method under the item setup is set for MRP, MRP is going to generate a report, purchase order, and work ticket for you. So the first thing you'll see me do is I'm going to hit the create button, and I will just call this. And the MRP, you can call it anything you want. A lot of times we'll see people name it after the location that they're doing. Sometimes they'll call it by the item. So I might say 61 series. And if I could spell, that would be fantastic. So now you're going to see I'm just going to focus on my manufacturing site for the moment. And so now I'm going to go ahead and note you can do periods in weeks. So this is looking at my sales orders, work tickets, anything that's in the system for up to 5 weeks out. I can, if needed, explode the bill of materials, and if I have existing quotes that I want to have taken into consideration for MRP, I can factor that in as well. This can be super helpful if you have a high quote to sale ratio, where you typically flip quotes pretty quickly, and or most quotes do become orders. Having this factored in allows you to be more responsive as orders come through. So now I'm going to hit calculate. And you'll notice this guy comes up in less than 1 minute, and I can click on results. And the results will actually tell me exactly what I need to do. So the first two things that is I need to make a 61 series chair base assembly and a seat assembly because I don't have enough sub-assemblies in stock. The rest of the items it's telling me I need to purchase. Now, depending on what I decide to do with this information, I have a few choices. One is I may decide I just want to make one thing. And so over to the right where the plus sign is, I can choose to make one work order, or I can choose to make one purchase order. And this is great if, for example, I'm just doing an ad hoc run. Maybe I don't want to order everything right at this moment. Maybe I'm in a rush. I can do the one-off. Now, for this particular day, I'm doing production and purchase order planning, so I want to be able to do these things in bulk. And so now where you'll see me go is under manufacturing. I'm going to head over to my work order planning screen. And here you'll see that MRP has now said, well, there are 2 work tickets that we think you should create. And in this case, I can hit the toggle up at the top, go ahead and hit create order, and it'll say, oh, do you want to create this action on the 2 selected items? When I click OK, it's actually gone ahead and created those work orders. And now I can go ahead and click view to see the work orders that have been put into my system. So notice I didn't do any double data entry. I was able to create work tickets right from the click of a button. So if you're managing a company where you may manufacture 10, 15, 20, even hundreds a day, you can find that this is a huge economy of scale. So at this point, I can release the work tickets, I can print them. So now I want to go ahead and show the same planning, but now show it from the purchasing side. So just like work tickets has planning, so does purchase orders. And you'll see here I've got my different vendors. Now, one important thing to note, I may not want an individual purchase order. So for Leggett and Platt, for example, I've got 3 different things I need to order from them. Well, I may not want that on 3 separate purchase orders. I may want it on one. And so I can just simply click all of my Leggett and Platts, hit create order, click OK. And now it's going ahead and creating those orders. Notice it pops up and I can go ahead and view the purchase order that got created. And so again, I want to just highlight how simple and easy this is to do. So now that I have my purchase order, at this point, once the purchase order is created, it can follow my standard workflow process. So here's the items I want to order. If I want to make any changes to the purchasing units, so if I want to order more, order less, change my pricing, I can do that here. And if I want to submit it for approval, I can go ahead and submit it for approval at this time. So I want to just mention at this juncture, for those of you that do a lot of production planning, a couple of things to really hone in on. One, I ran a report for MRP, but the report was interactive. It's allowing me to take the information that it's generated and it's allowing me to generate work tickets and purchase orders from it. 2, once I run the report, I have the ability to really go back to it at any time and see what the outcome was, what was the suggestions at the time. And I also want to highlight that when I ran the report, I didn't have to kick everybody out of the system in order to run the report. So a lot of what we see with MRP systems in today's day and age is you run it once, you're not able to store the information, or it's a paper report, so you still have to go in and manually set up or manually do some of the steps that are in there. And then last but not least, once you run it, you're not able to see again what the suggestions were. And notice here, if I go back into my MRP window, this is my results from today. It even tells me I ordered these. That means I created the work ticket. I've ordered these and I've ordered this, and I still have these left to deal with. So not only does it let me see what the results were, but it also lets me track where in my flow has everything gone. All right, so now that we've covered MRP, or material requirements and planning, I'm going to switch gears for a moment. So we focused on the Acme manufacturing warehouse. Well, now I want to focus on my distribution warehouse. And my responsibility as production and product manager is to make sure both warehouses have what they need to do their job. And so here I'm going to click on my 51 series chair. First thing I want to highlight is the reorder method for this, or replenishment method, is by reorder point. And so in SDMO, when you're not using work tickets or you're not using manufacturing, you can go through and do what's known as stock reordering. And you'll see this looks a little different than MRP, but not a lot. So first thing you'll see is I'm going to again pick my location because I'm focused now on distribution. And I can pick items if I want, or I can just tell it to search and it will suggest items for me. So now on the bottom right, I'm going to say, well, go ahead and run this out. And first thing you'll see here is it says this is the item that I need to get. I need to get more 51 series chairs. Right now it's suggesting that I buy 10. And at this point, because I only have one item, I can create the purchase order right from here. And so I would fill in the quantity, maybe change my receipt or order date, and hit my create button at the bottom. And this will actually set up that purchase order for me. Okay. So any questions on MRP versus stock reordering or managing different items and different sites? Oh, we have a quiet audience today. So I'm hoping through my demonstration to you, I've really shown how Sage Distribution and Manufacturing Operations, or SDMO, can really allow you to manage your different sides of your business and take into consideration when you're dealing with these items exactly the things you need to worry about in regards to safety stock out, manufacturing quantities, lead times, vendors. And I also want to highlight that in today's day and age, it really is all about efficiency. And so throughout my workflow today, at no time was I physically printing a paper report, manually keying in purchase orders and work orders. Everything I was doing was interactive. It was with the click of a button, very simple, very straightforward. And the most important thing of all, I'm doing all of this from the comfort of my own home. So if I'm running 2 or 3 or even 4 different facilities, I don't necessarily have to be at any one facility to do my job and get the information that I need. And that is the power of having your ERP system online, that ability to really work from anywhere at any time. So if I'm an early bird, this may be my 5 a.m. job. Go in here and generate work tickets and purchase orders to get my staff ready for the day. And so at this point, I'm going to actually turn the floor back over to Miss Jessica. Okay, so a couple of things I wanted to make sure we highlighted, and I'm going to have Jessica show these various things as we go. So in the next few months, we do have upcoming webinars for SDMO. If you browse out to our website and go to the resources, you'll see down here there is the upcoming webinars. And so that's where you can register for any upcoming webinars that we have. If you're interested in a particular topic and would like for that to either be a webinar or quick feature, by all means, do reach out to us and let us know. Go ahead, Jessica. All right, we're also doing a lot of, learning more about SDMO. As I mentioned earlier on in my presentation, it is only 2 years old, so there's just a lot out there to learn. They add new features to it every single month. So not only is there a lot out there to learn, but there's something new every month that's being added to the software. And so on our website, we've added a section for quick how-tos on how to get in and do little quick presentations. So one about how to use the online help. I did a quick one on MRP, so you could see how to do the generation. But check back there frequently and often. We usually try to add at least 1 or 2 a month. And then last but not least, if you follow Stewart Technologies on LinkedIn, I am doing a webinar series called Take 5 with Tara, where we really focus on some of these efficiency tips and tricks. The current series we're doing is actually how to harness the power of SDMO from the production management side of life. So I'm doing a series on some of the things I showed you today, how to set up inventory items, how to generate MRP, how to generate purchase orders. Those are all things that I cover during that 4-part series so that you can learn more about how SDMO may be advantageous for your business. Thank you as always for taking the time to spend it with us today. I hope you are as excited about SDMO as we are. It's really revolutionary for us to see such a great product out in the market and one that's so cost effective for small businesses. So we hope you really enjoyed what you saw. And if you did, please reach out to Jessica to book a call or to set up a time for your own personalized demo. And you can also learn more about us from our website. Jessica?
Thank you so much, Tara. We really appreciate everyone joining us here today. As she stated, this is the latest and greatest when it comes to web-based, on-demand, manufacturing and distribution. It is a leading technology we're seeing in the space. So reach out if you want to learn more, and we will see you guys next time.